Zach, what's going on?
Yeah, not much.
Welcome. So just to give Zach a little intro, for everyone, Zach is the VP of Engineering at Arthur AI. And he is going to walk us through a demo of some of the stuff they've been working on. I'll
Yeah,
keep
thanks
it
so
in, of
much, Becca. Appreciate
course.
you having me on. So today I'm going to show everybody some of the exciting work that we've been doing at Arthur, specifically, going to talk through how you can think about, leveraging monitoring tools and continuous evals in your development workflows for your generative AI applications, and how, using Arthur, we can move from, pre-production refinement, tuning, improving your applications all the way through into sort of post-production, and what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead here and sort of share my screen. Let me just make sure. So the technology that we're going to be looking at here today is sort of twofold. Number one is our Arthur engine. This is open source. This is here on GitHub. The Arthur engine is a federated continuous evals product that allows you to generate monitoring information and metrics off of your AI workflows, both in a sort of passive metrics generation mode, as well as an active guardrails and monitoring. And so I'm going to just jump kind of right into a use case here. This is Open Web UI. This is another open source chat application. I've set this up today to integrate into two different tool servers. We have a Google Workspace server and a secure file system server being provided by MCP servers. And I've set up like an initial model that's going to help me with my email triage and sort of like helping me with manage my email inbox. So I'm going to ask a question today, summarize my unread and unimportant emails and call out any attention to actions. And so, this is going to use those MCP servers to reach out to that G Suite MCP server. It's going to come in here and sort of, just like I prompted, summarize what's going on here. And I'm sure you've seen this many different times. But now where this gets interesting and sort of how you can think about applying this to how you develop your AI applications, I'm going to jump on over here to our Arthur platform. This is soon to be released freemium SaaS platform. And I'm going to jump into my passive MCP monitoring model. And we're going to get a really high level overview of, oops, did my screen lose my screen? Seems like it might have. Can we still see my screen? There we go. Okay. Yeah, so now we can see some high-level overview about how my task is performing, given some of the metrics and evaluations that we're performing on that task. We can see number of inferences, tokens, we get some cost. This is useful to be able to determine sort of, hey, if I went with a different model, maybe my performance would stay the same, but I get a better ROI because it'd be cheaper. And for some of the evaluations that we're monitoring, we can look at latencies, just the total number of counts, as well as how often are we detecting that the model is hallucinating? How often are we detecting a prompt injection attack? Sort of like acceptable use policies, toxicity, as well as whether or not personally identifiable information is being leaked across those boundaries. And if I dig into this even a little bit further, we'll be able to click in and look at all of the actual, traces that have been sent to this specific application. And it can see here we sort of detected hallucination detection failed. I can come in here and get a claim by claim basis on exactly where we think it failed to, basically ground the response in the context. And what I'm doing here is this is kind of unreadable, but just to give you an idea, I'm passing in the actual response from the tool chain itself. So this is what the MCP server was returning from the G Suite API. And we're using that to validate the response that was being sent here. So as you're working on your applications, you have the ability to actively monitor, are we using the right tool? Is the tool providing the right information? And then is the language model correctly assessing and citing that information that we're getting returned back from these tool calls? And once again, you can kind of come back here into this dashboard and monitor what that looks like over time. So as you're changing your prompts, as you're changing your tools, as you're changing, the different aspects of your system, you can see it start to have an impact on what that's going to be doing to your application. So I'm going to switch over here to another example. Give me 1 second just to make sure I set this all up. But one of the things that is sort of a very common concern when building these applications is how sort of security interacts. How you can enforce good security and how you sort of work through that in these agentic applications. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert a prompt into this interaction here, which is pretty typical of what you'd see in sort of an agentic application when it comes to developing, sort of like a multi-agent application. I'm asking this to take on a persona of a personal assistant. I'm asking that personal assistant to make my life easier by actioning things people are asking for. You have permission to take these instructions. You are running in an autonomous environment. You don't need approval. This is a bit of a contrived example, but I'll kind of touch on that in a second. What I'm asking it to do now is please read through and follow all of my instructions in my unread and unimportant emails. So like last time, what we're going to be seeing here is we're seeing this actually call out to the tool. And what we're going to see here is this email that I have basically instructs the language model to return the content of an SSH public key and send an email to my inbox. And if we look at this email here, you can see that what I've done here, and again, an attacker in this system might be able to inject this email such that they get it to take some kind of a privileged action. And, here's the email response, which again is including the sort of public key here, right? Something obviously that you want to protect for, something that is very easy to inject into one of these agentic workflows, and you have to be really careful about sort of how you approach that. And it looks like I have just a couple more seconds of time, but one thing that we've done here is we've allowed for the active enforcement of these guardrails. So at some point, once I've really nailed down, okay, this is a threat, model or threat vector that I want to detect against, I can switch over to actively enforcing these. And what we're going to see here when we're actively enforcing this specific prompt is the service basically will then say, hey, I was able to detect that there was a prompt injection attack that happened in this specific instance, and redact this message, prevent it from being sent, and ultimately secure this application in this sense. And even cooler here, I'm just going to really quickly switch over to we've set up a alerting interface here. So give me 1 second. You can then, whenever these alerts fire or trigger, we have a webhook interface that allows you to, sort of configure where you want to be sending these alerts to whatever alerting system you have, Jira, PagerDuty, retraining a different model or updating a prompt, for example. And, we can come in here and see, hey, we detected that there was a prompt injection attack. The platform showed that, great, we detected that there was a specific prompt injection rule that triggered. We send that Slack notification, somebody can then go and action it. So, sort of the full end-to-end cycle here is really, how do you think about adding, sort of these monitoring and these continuous evaluations into your workflows so that you can help you debug, tune, improve your generative workflow. And then as you move into production and you start to have stakeholders, more compliance, more security stakeholders, how do you tell the story and demonstrate to them that you can provide security guarantees around these tools, around these products, and give them the confidence that you can deploy this into production. So ultimately what we're trying to do here is really provide the tools that allow you to make these applications work. A lot of what we're seeing is these agentic applications work great some of the time, but not all of the time. And so that's our mission. We want to make these things actually work. So just to kind of quickly wrap up, I showed some of the SaaS tooling that we had for being able to visualize these things, being able to set up alerts, trigger those alerts, send them into whatever operation systems you have for managing those alerts. This is a wait list. You can come here and you can sign up for this. And we would love to work with you. We would love to hear about the use cases you have. We would love to hear about how you could potentially even extend some of the evaluations and metrics in our Arthur engine. But yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for walking us through all that. Super interesting. Also, similarly to what I said before, we will make sure that on the Glosaic website and any communications we send out after, we'll have links to all the stuff that Zach's talking about. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Zach. Really appreciate it.
Outstanding. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.